1964, a figure disclosed by the National Security Minister, Fitzgerald Hines, 6 months later at the maritime narco trafficking on September 10th. The conclusion, the borders are vulnerable. That was a quote from the Guardian newspaper on the 29th of the 9th month, 2024. The Guardian, concluding that our borders are very vulnerable. And I want to say that Tobago, not disclosed here in the figures, are even more vulnerable because we cannot even have one vessel stationed in Tobago. And I heard the minority leader championing the cause of the PNM and the wonderful work they are doing and so on. But this is a result of having in office a gentleman manning one of the most important ministries in Trinidad and Tobago, who goes to the BTAM and had to run away from water. So you could expect nothing more from this. And I want to go on later to say that this porous borders might even be a strategic action by the government in place. Deliberate strategic action.
Deliberate.
I am not giving way.
45-8, Madam Presiding Officer.
I qualified my statement by saying might, and if you listen to the English, then you'd understand. It might be a strategic decision, and I'll bring the supporting documents information soon. The right to life, the right to liberty, and the right to security of every individual in Tobago is a basic human right recognized by the United Nations Declaration of 1948 and enshrined in the Trinidad and Tobago Constitution at Section 4A. I hope today to demonstrate within my 34 minutes that we in Tobago, for us in Tobago, we have never been able to enjoy that right simply because the Assembly shall have no responsibility. How do you go to the Parliament and say, and allow to be read into law, that the entity that governs a jurisdiction of Trinidad and Tobago, and say that you will have no right? It reminds me of when I was a little boy and I went to Trinidad and I saw this Churchill Roosevelt man name on the highway in Trinidad, and I asked my bigger siblings, who is Churchill Roosevelt? And they told me that that man was the Prime Minister of England who caused millions to die in India while they used their security forces to ensure that the grain produced in India was being shipped to England and everybody in India was starving. That is the result when you have a law that says the Assembly shall have no responsibility. And that is where we are headed if we continue to allow foolish laws to be made. So I hope to demonstrate that The time is now. The time is now when we as Tobagoans, including my brother from Bacalet, from Darrell Spring Wim, the time is now, because I hope for him still, Pastor Beans. The time is now when all Tobagonians must stand up and take the responsibility of being in government in Tobago and do it manfully and understand that you cannot, SOE or no SOE, you cannot allow your security to be governed from abroad. We've gone through that through colonialism. You cannot allow it, because every jurisdiction that you have in the world where security is being managed from outside of your borders, you are prone to this non-functional security system that threatens your life, your liberty, and your social well-being. Now, first thing that comes to mind when we talk about national security, we think naturally of police, inland security, defense force, maybe external security. We talk about political security, and members here will know that as politicians, we have no security, because I see the minority leader has his own security now. But we on this side have no security, right? Then we talk about border security. We might even consider energy and economic security, because just like Churchill, Roosevelt, the government in Trinidad, I almost say Rowley, but the government in Trinidad is taking our energy resources and giving us crumbs. Sometimes they give us none and leave us to starve. We can talk about natural resource security. You know, they want to come and take the quarry in Studley Park. All of these areas of security are interrelated and are components of this complex thing that we call national security. A man in Mount Grace told me the other day that poor border security has impaired internal security in Tobago and has imperiled the demographic security and is now threatening economic security. If we have no responsibility on this island of Tobago, we cannot control the economy of Tobago, and that is the crux of the matter. The problem we face is not who controls national security and who gives more money. The problem we face is that, much like the Palestinians, people from outside our borders are controlling our security and determining for us what we should do and when we should do it. This problem that we face is not a now problem. 30 years after the annexation of Tobago to Trinidad, 30 years. It took 30 years for a ship to leave Port of Spain from Trinidad to come to Tobago. Our entire economic security disappeared, because before that, ships were leaving the Lesser Antilles, coming down the road to Grenada, St. Vincent, coming down the road, stopping in Tobago, and then going to Trinidad. 30 years it took for them to send a ship the other direction, when they decided that it was illegal for those ships to stop off in Tobago. And that is where we are even up to today. You can import nothing until you go to Trinidad first. And then they turn around in government and they say to you, we know your cost of living in Tobago is higher, and it's costing you 40% more to build your house, but we're charging you the same tax because we are one country. This thing is about ensuring, when the member for Bethel New Grange says we must do all in our power for regime change. It is because we understand that if the status quo continues as it is, our children and grandchildren are doomed forever. And I hope my friend from Darrell Spring Rim, who has young children, understands this. And when you support a Trinidad party against Tobagonians, know what you're doing. Let me turn to what the numbers are saying. These are the numbers. The murder numbers, the murder figures in Trinidad and Tobago. Before the PNM came into office in 2015, as far as I could have gone back, for the 3 years before 2015, 2013, 2014, 2015, the average murder rate in Tobago was 6.3 murders per year. From 2017 to 2024, the average murder rate was 11.2, meaning that it increased every year by 4. That is not a question for anybody to say that is the Chief Secretary in Tobago responsibility or Heinz responsibility. The reality is that the law says the Assembly shall have no responsibility. In Trinidad, the average murder rate from 2013 to 2015 was 410. And despite the COVID years, the average murder rate from 2016 to 2024 rose to 509. Meaning that every year there were 99 more murders under the PNM. Every year. The increase in Trinidad is 24% on average. In Tobago, the increase is 77%. That is why we come to the House today, understanding where we are, to make an intervention because we know we have a dotish law. And if no intervention is made, not only the young man who went to Signal Hill, but scores of young men are going to be murdered in Tobago. And it is our responsibility, and we are man enough to come to the House to say, let us have our highest office meet with the minister, instead of the prime minister. Let us have him meet with the minister of national security and say, hey, brother, might be Rasta to Rasta, because your father was a Rasta. Meet. Because you know that the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago acknowledges that the Minister of National Security is unable to carry out the functions. So he give him another minister. And together, the murder rate still increased to 624. When you had two ministers. It's two Rastas? What is that short Rasta? Picky head Rasta. So, when the chief talks about the THA expending 5th schedule money on 6 schedule items, because we care, and the ministry, members of the ministry come to us and say, here what's going on. We ain't get nothing from Trinidad. Give you something. It will benefit you in the end. And we do. In 2024-2025 budget, and I had the figures back to 2016, but I want to be short because I am understanding that I may have to speak about some contractors again later. The budget statement for 2024-25, Ministry of National Security is going to get 10.2% of the national budget. Their development budget, and this is where the expenditure is. Their development budget is $1.4 billion. And they will say billion dollars. 7 times more than the entire Tobago development budget. Because I want that to sink in. 7 times more. And we still have to go and rent vehicle for them. It vexatious. It vexatious. The TTPS, my good friends who like to come to my house, their budget in 2025 is $2.6 billion. And I don't want Tobagonians to understand, $2.6 billion, representing 4.1% of the Trinidad and Tobago budget. The Secretary of Finance will probably remind me that our percentage is 4.0 something. This year is 4.2, 4.35 this year. The TTPS budget is 4.1%. And they go to the parliament every single year and they boast. This year, they boast that the TTPS will spend money in Tobago. Improvement works at police stations and buildings, $1.5 million. No, tell me. Works are planned for Charlottesville, Crown Point, Moriah, and maybe the Chief Secretary will monitor these things. Moriah Police Station, Roxborough Police Station, Scarborough Police Station, Shervan Road Police Station. All of that for $1.5 million. I don't know what they're improving. They must go and buy some office share for them. Development works for the K9 and Mounted Branch unit in Tobago at Shervan, $0.8 million, $800,000. That should include construction of stables and for the Mounted Branch kennels and Tobago specific allocation identified in the budget, $2.8 million. They give them $2.6 billion. And they tell us no responsibility, and then tell the TTPS spend $2.8 million into it. This is where we are. The Coast Guard, in the budget from 2023, no specific allocation mentioned in 2023, $0. The chief talked about them scrunching down there. In 2024, $500,000 to upgrade electrical utility at the base. In 2025, chief, that was spent $500,000. Because I'm sure I sent electricians over there many times. 2025, $2 million for the Coast Guard upgrade. Defense Force in 2023, $0 mentioned. In 2024, $0 mentioned. In 2025, $200,000 to construct a dormitory in Camp Signal Hill. Are they serious about preventing crime in Tobago? Absolutely not. And they're telling us every single year in the budget, hey, we ain't had nothing to do with all over there. We're giving only the bare minimum. Fire service. Remember talk about building a fire station in Roxborough that barely functioning. 2023, no money allocated. 2024, no money allocated. In 2025, $1 million to the Crown Point Fire Station because they're building an airport, So they had to get 2 new appliances to show. Because this could only buy 1 appliance, by the way. $1 million, but you can't buy 1. Prison facilities in Tobago, according to them in the budget, 2023, $0. 2024, $0. 2025, $0. Total monies supposedly allocated for Tobago specific expenditure through the Ministry of National Security. In 2023, $0. In 2024, $503,500. And in 2025, projected $3.2 million. We have been abandoned. Our security has been abandoned. And now we must take time. We have to fix our own selves. I keep saying that. If we don't fix it, certainly this P&M government ain't fixing it. That's what the reality is. So when we sit and we strategize and we say we must bring a motion because of the fact that we are in the SOE and we feel we'll have the greatest impact in the public space, because we understand that without an intervention from us, nothing will be done. And we have, how much of them we have? We say about 10 of them now. Because every week, the Prime Minister adding another Tobagonian, whether they lose in Tobago or not, he putting them in the highest office of the land to make laws for us when people in Tobago reject them. And we have two representatives who are like mumus down there. Can't even ask, oh gosh, build the Coast Guard base now, get them a boat at least now. They can't even say that. They say that, they get fired one time. So, what is required? What is required if we are to arrest this crime scourge that we are on? What is required from the Ministry of National Security? We must first find a way to ensure that our borders are protected. That's the first thing. And to do that, I'm suggesting that we employ a viewshed analysis immediately. And I know the minority leader on the phone now probably check
Member,
what
you have 5 minutes.
We must employ a viewshed analysis immediately so that we can find where we must put towers in Tobago so we can see every coast line in Tobago, and we might end up seeing inland areas such as Golden Lane and Plymouth and so on as well. We must ask ourselves, in this modern time, how many cameras we really have working? We can't come up with a system all of these years to see what's going on the ground in Tobago. We have the opportunity in Tobago. We have a controlled experiment. We have a small population, a small island. We are inhabiting 10-15% of the island, and we still can't see. We have no radar, no satellite, no boat, no police, no army, no Coast Guard. If we do not change these foolish laws that they make in the Parliament and ensure that the decisions for national security are made on the ground in Tobago and are controlled from Tobago, then we would have abdicated our responsibilities to the people of Tobago, and we are saying we are big men enough to understand that we must make an intervention now, and therefore I stand resolutely in support of this motion to have the Chief Secretary meet with the Minister of National Security and hammer out an MOU where we can both, as government officials, reduce the crime scourge that is plaguing our wonderfully beautiful island. I thank you.